Good morning. I'm Tara Murray. I'm the Executive Director at the Empowerment Opportunity Center in Decatur, Illinois. We're a community action agency, and I'm here today with Roger Pavey and Stormy Udell. Could you both introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm okay, I'm the COO at ICA, but the policy analyst for IPAC.
And I'm the CEO at IPAC and ICA, Roger Paley.
Yeah, so if you're watching, you probably already know them, but just in case. Um, so we're here today to talk about the government shutdown that we just wrapped up and our daily updates, our shutdown lowdown emails we all enjoyed every day. But I wanted to start by thanking both of you on behalf of the network because your daily updates really did a few things for everyone in our network. You kept us well informed, especially when digesting all of that news felt very overwhelming and never ending. You let us know what really mattered to community action and helped us plan for challenges that may be ahead. And you brought a sense of humor and levity that was really good for our mental health during a very stressful time. So thank you for doing all of that. And we want to get into your brilliant brains and hear about the experience from your point of view. So I'll start with what made you start the daily updates?
Okay, so brilliant probably okay, wanting to get into our brains in the first place is says a whole lot more about you it's kind of crazy in there, and I think some people saw that like during the emails anyway. And really it kicked off because Roger started this whole thing. So I'll let Roger talk first, but you said brilliant, and I was like, my brain's a little scary to live inside of. So
I'm going to go back a little over a year ago to the creation of IPAC. We created the Illinois Poverty Action Council in part to hold a political action committee, which is a donor fund to be able to be involved in politics. It's one of those slightly slimy campaign election things that you have to do to play the game. But we didn't want to do it in such a serious way. We wanted to create a vehicle for us to be more real. So like I think there's that intentionality in IPAC that we want to be more real. IPAC is a labor of love, and we don't get paid for it. It's something we do on the side. When we have these fancy titles, like, one day I said to Stormy, why don't you help me with this? And here's your new title. You're a policy analyst, and you get no pay whatsoever. So have fun with it. But I think we wanted to try to be informative, but not just be part of the noise, part of the desperation and the depression that's out there. Plus, this is how we talk every day and how we work every day, like this. So it just kind of comes natural that we are smart asses, I think. Stormy?
yeah, I think when we first started, though, like realistically, we were also a little nervous and unsure. Like, if you're thinking of the few days leading up to the shutdown, we were like, we're not sure if things are going to be accessible, if they're not. And then how are we going to show up for agencies in that way? And so we were really serious for those first few days. And when it first happened, like I got really academic and was just like really theorizing what experience we were going through. And when you go down those really deep wormholes, you'll start getting a little bit more sad. And I'm like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this every day. Because sometimes it's nice to have a news break, you're like, you're really diving into it, and things get a little dark. So it is really natural for me to find the things to laugh about, even if it is kind of like a WTF laugh, like what is happening right now? Like, is this real life? Is a common question that I think we ask each other and ourselves regularly. So the humor piece is 100% really natural. Because, like, what I mean, a lot of people send us messages and they're like, hey, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. And I think sometimes we felt that in the beginning, and then it just made everything a little bit more digestible, even for us as we were digging in deep and kind of problem solving on the backside of it where we had to get serious. It was a good break for us to be able to do that. And it was great to be able to go back and forth with Roger and not have to like do it every single day with one person trying to do that. So it kind of happened organically, I think.
That kind of begs the question, how much time did you invest in the daily updates and writing them?
It's a totally different answer for both of us. It's
You're gonna,
really different. So
yeah, Roger, 3 seconds. Me, 30 hours. Um, like I said, my brain is a little wacky. So like I just would vomit all over the page essentially and put all the things I found and then go back in and add all the little moments. But like realistically, writing one probably took me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. But the research for those things was pretty consistent in staying up on all the headlines in the news and then sorting through the mess. Or finding a rabbit and saying, which one's a reliable source for us to report back on. Um, or what is reliable enough that it's funny? Like, this is all too serious. Can I find something from like Sun Times or some tabloid that's going to inject even more humor to this entire thing? So, yeah, like I took a lot more time than Roger for sure.
I think they probably took me 20, 30 minutes, most of them. I've lived in that space a little longer, I think. And also Stormy's more naturally funny. Mine, I just rip something out of the headlines. Stormy's cat episode got a lot of traction. It was very funny. So I think we just approached it from different methods. But also, the whole gig here, the whole thing is something you could read in about a minute that breaks down without assuming that the reader knows too much about it, breaks down what you need to know, but also makes you laugh a little bit. That's kind of what both of us were leaning into. Don't make assumptions about the reader, give them what they need to know, but also keep it light.
I think it
Mhm.
was important that like when something, so many headlines sounded really scary when you just read the headline. And then when you dug deeper, you were like, this is the same thing I've heard every day, or this is really ridiculous. And so it gave the reader an opportunity, like if we said it in a funny way, they're like, is that important to me or is it not? And am I going to read that with the same doom lens? Or am I going to read it with this like levity if I want to dig deeper into it? And so um, I think that was also kind of the approach is like enough information that you don't have to dig deeper. But if you do, don't take it too seriously because it's going to change in 15 minutes anyway. And sometimes that all because it took me so long to write them, I would be, getting ready to send one and then there's a change and I was like, oh, it doesn't go with my flow right now. I got to rewrite my entire set.
Yeah, that was totally my experience the one day I attempted to write a guest day. Yep, terrible.
Yeah,
It was
so
great. You
let me
did
tell
great.
that story. So we asked Tara to write on a Friday. And so Tara thought like, okay, I'll spend some time over the weekend writing right before we had the deal to end the shutdown. So everything that Tara wrote, which was great, and we ran some of it a couple of days later, but everything that Tara wrote, just we had to toss it because we had to write about the end of the shutdown. Just there's no other way around it. But one of the funniest things, and I don't think this got a lot of play, was you're pointing out that there was a Watergate salad and it looked like vomit. That photo, that thing looked like vomit.
Have you ever had it?
It's
Have I ever had
terrible.
it? No.
What do you mean no? My grandma used to make it at every holiday when I was a child. Well, we
I'm
called
sorry.
it pistachio salad. We didn't call it Watergate salad, but that is what it's called.
Oh, gross. It
Oh
looked
yeah,
nasty.
it's not that bad. But it's a 70s Jello salad. It's like, putting in.
Everything was Jello molds in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring you some. All right.
Please.
Well, that kind of leads to another question. So, what didn't make it into the notes
yeah,
throughout this
Stormy, what didn't
process?
make it into the notes? We would show each other our edition before it would go out. We would also send it to Jessica Petty because she's way more of an adult than either one of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like we would send it out and then we would get censored. We would self-censor. Like, we would sometimes I would even say like, Stormy, can I say this? And the answer no. But the two that stand out in our minds, the biggest two, both involve testicles, Tara, but in a very different way.
Okay, listen. We're recording this. This is an
I
HR
didn't
thing.
think you were
No,
actually gonna say that in the recording, I must be honest.
I kn yeah, I know it's already in there. Okay, so the Diary of a Sad Cat. Like I remember back when Vines came out, like well, what feels like forever ago, and the Diary of a Sad Cat was a thing. Well, when I was on YouTube, I found Diary of a Sad Dog, and so I was like, well, what if we have dog people and cat people, and can I do a play on both of those things? And so then I listened to the Diary of a Sad Dog, and the only thing that dog talks about is cleaning himself. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't share this with anybody. I was like, because I thought about saying, hey, if you want to know what a sad dog would think of, you can do it. And then I had the link in the notes and everything, and I started listening to it, and he just kept talking about cleaning himself. And I was like, nope, not going to be on somebody's list for that one. And then I think about like at the agency, if they click on one of those links that's like, not appropriate for work. And I was like, oh gosh, we're gonna get somebody in big trouble. Like we're not sending that one. So it was funny. Don't look it up on your work computer, but I didn't go that route. So I was a sad cat that day instead.
Stormy, you cleaned that up very well. So a few days later, I was going to try to include a story about some very bizarre researchers. Some dude back when Hitler was, killed himself on the couch, thought, oh, cool, I'll take a piece of the bloody couch. So this dude we know way back where he gets his pocket knife out and he cuts off some of the bloody couch and he keeps it. And these researchers find him and say, oh, we could sequence Hitler's DNA. And so, when I was growing up, and maybe this is just in my world, probably is, but there was always this story that Hitler only had one testicle. And so these researchers write this very serious article where they sequenced Hitler's DNA, and it turns out probably right that he had. And
Ah,
somehow I had figured out how to weave that into a policy note in a really bizarre way. And then I asked Stormy, can I include that? And she, no. So go Google that one too, but be careful who's watching.
I mean, some of them, I don't just say no. Sometimes it's like, do you want that out there in the public? Like
That's
one
enough.
time he was like, maybe we should do one where I'm just like having a drink and it's like do
Yeah, I
like
was
an
going to
interview.
drink. I was
Yeah.
going to drink during an interview with the Whipley boys because they're too serious. We were going to play a drinking game, and I don't drink. And we were going to do that while I'm at work on camera. And yeah, Stormy's like, probably no, no.
He doesn't even drink. Roger doesn't even drink in the first place. Like we would have a
I
mess
would have
on our
been
hands.
drunk.
He would take a sip and then like I would be calling his wife to pick him up from work and we would have some bigger issues and then it was all recorded like this
Yeah,
conversation and
Okay, so there was more there that didn't make it. That's probably good.
yeah,
And leaning a little more into the humor, I guess someone asked if you really hate each other.
yes.
we I no we don't hate each other but yes somebody did ask that question. I should probably clarify that. I do joke that while we're smart asses, like I am much more of an ass than Roger is, and he's like the smart piece of that smart ass. Um, because I will be brutal. And I think one of my favorites was when he had a tantrum over my son. Like it was just a really clarifying moment for me. I was like, oh, I got you now. Like and it was fun. So no, we do not hate each other. But that was a ton of fun to write back and forth. And what's funny about it is we do screen them before they go out. So like we knew what was coming before it was going out, and we still had to say like, yeah, go for it. I'm ready for that. Which for
Yeah.
me made it way easier because he is my boss, no matter how we look at this. And I was like, well, I don't want to cross like that line, and then all of a sudden I'm fired. But as a policy analyst in a volunteer position, I mean, I wouldn't really be fired. It's a kind of made up thing in the first place, so I'd lose a make believe job. But I still didn't want to like toe that line, and it was no hate here.
So in the way that kind of came about is I had predicted rather foolishly that the shutdown was going to end in the middle of October. And then of course it didn't. So I even suggested to Stormy, you
Hmm.
should really, give me a smackdown over that. So that's kind of how it all started. Then she did the Miss Cleo thing, and allegedly her cute kid came into the picture, allegedly cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your kid's objectively cute. But
Yeah, and then I shared a photo of me that looked like Stormy, I think you said it looked like I was being sold during the Great Depression or
I
something. My photos at the time.
I was like, I'm talking about weaponizing children. Um,
got it. So you don't hate each other, and it didn't affect Stormy's evaluation.
Not
no,
yet. I mean, it's due here soon, so we'll
I
see.
know, I know.
Yeah.
My son does think he's famous now though. Like he saw like we it was great talking back and forth with him about this process. So that was like something else that kind of was cool about it. And I showed it to him and I was like, we sent it to like 2,200 people. He's like, I'm totally famous. So
That's
he
awesome.
was very excited about it.
So, on a more serious note, looking ahead, if there's another government shutdown, which we know is a possibility in January or any other time, would you do updates like this again, or would you approach it differently?
I'll drink on camera.
There might be more stories that are not HR appropriate. No, the goal behind it, like one thing I don't think we touched on yet though, was just when like things are really chaotic, over communicating is incredibly important because otherwise you start feeling isolated and alone in your fear. And then you start making snap decisions or, and it just impacts us emotionally all the time. So one of the goals was to over communicate and continue to build connection in that. Through any times of change or challenge, over communicating is like, in my opinion, the best way to get over some of those fears and hurdles that will create bigger obstacles for us. So, one piece of it was just to keep communicating. And the second piece was to keep saying, keep going. Like, we still have funds. I know it feels like if you didn't have funding tomorrow and you did your analysis, you would have to shut down tomorrow, right? Like, but that's not the case. You have funding, so keep going, and we're all in this together. And you don't have to stay so tuned in, waiting for the shoe to drop because we're doing that for you. Like taking on that piece of it. And when you see like a crazy headline that might sound scary, I hope some people said, well, let's wait to see what IPAC says about it. Like let's see what the notes say about it because maybe I'm not, I'm just not in the space for that. Because we both spiraled sometimes. We would read things and be like, "What?" Like I can't imagine while you're trying to serve customers. That's the other thing. We had the space for it. We're not serving customers every day. Like
No.
our customer, that's you. Those are our agencies, and that's the best way for us to support them. So yeah, if there was a shutdown, we would 100% do it again. I can't do it without humor because I'm not going to take it that seriously until it's time to get serious about things. But when you have no control over what's going to happen and kind of what that outcome is in a lot of ways, a lot of it isn't that serious until it like is right up to toe the line. So, Roger,
Yeah, I mean, if we would run into any crisis again that shut down or something significant that lasts over time, we'll be here. We'll communicate what we can when we can. And I'm still trying to learn that lesson of, keep it short and keep it funny while also being meaningful. Because a couple of days ago, I wrote a novel and sent it out about, utility legislation. And it's got good stuff in it, but if it's overwhelming, it's not going to be read. So, we need to be succinct and not take everything in life so seriously. And I think, we're leaning into that format of the work we do is super important, but we don't have to approach it with dread. And we need to cut to the chase because people don't have a lot of time.
Mhm.
I think we'll continue to have serious pieces in there because we're not gonna. In
Yeah.
as funny as we are, it's not like we're not aware of how serious things can get. Um, and I think because we know how serious things can get from both our personal experiences and professional experiences, that we're not going to be as moved by frivolous things that we shouldn't be moved by in that sense. To when it's serious, it's serious. But making sure that we continue to keep some levity in the seriousness as because we'll keep IPAC emails aren't going to stop. And a piece of what we think and I'd love to hear from everybody, and I'll ask in the email that follows this up is we're talking about doing a podcast where we can kind of talk about some of those deeper issues and other things going on that in between shutdown updates. So I don't know. We'll
And
see if
I
anybody
know
would
we're
be
about out of
interested in
time.
listening to us blab on.
Yeah, with some guests, like to
Yes.
interview some people. One other thing that would be different in the future is, you've already agreed, Tara, that you'll join us. So we won't have to write every other day.
Oh,
We'll have
have I?
another person in the mix.
Yeah, I don't remember agreeing to anything.
I remember it that way.
Yeah, it's like you do one thing for him
Yeah,
and then that's it.
yeah.
So you're looped in forever. He thinks you're a forever volunteer. Um, but we would invite a ton of people to speak. We reached out to quite a few different EDs and thinking through how quickly we could get something together in that. But for like in a podcast space, we would have more time to prepare instead of just like this ad hoc kind of it's coming at you pretty fast type thing. So,
And get to know people a little bit
mhm.
so that, that someone that you're working with regularly, you may not get a chance to know them.
I
You know,
think it's
like,
great. I can't wait to hear the podcast.
like why does David Wortman like graphs so damn much? Like that.
Mhm.
That's going to be an interview Roger does. He'll get really excited about that. I'll forget the question because
Like what happened to him as a child? What kind of trauma did that man go through?
somebody could say the same thing about you. You geek out over the same data analysis. Or like, hey, do you know how to work SAS? Nobody knows how to work SAS, Roger.
All
Okay.
right. Well, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go, Tara.
This has been really fun to talk about kind of the process, what was behind it. Any last words on where we're going from here as a network?
I mean, it's going to continue to be crazy, and we're going to that doesn't have anything to do with who's in the White House, although that might, make it come a little faster and a little stranger. But this is an unsettled future that we're in, and so that the chaos will persist, and our world's going to change. So let's lean into that and change together and have fun while we're doing it. We can help a ton of people while still having fun. This is the greatest job in the world, being able to help people who need help.
Mhm.
It's astounding that we get to do this, and we shouldn't take it for granted, even in its misery, because it's the greatest job and full of misery also.
No, I think I personally love change, not just for the sake of change, but it truly means growth, which means that we get even better outcomes for families. And so, in times of chaos, again, and change, we're going to over communicate what that looks like. And we want the network to over communicate with us as well as how they're feeling about it. Because a lot of times when you feel resistance and change, it's just a fear of not controlling, but we have an opportunity to really control the change and the outcomes that are coming for the future of what community action looks like in Illinois. And I want to lean into that piece that you can be empowered because you are the voice of the people that we're serving. And is it going to make sense for them? So I think it's really exciting in that way that is it going to be a little chaotic? Sure, but it, that's the fun in it, I guess.
And,
And what a cool opportunity. I mean, we got a little taste of that recently with just saying, "Hey, can we extend the moratorium?" Right? Like just that little piece of saying we're going to ask for a change and it is a change and it's a good change. Um, and we'll fight back on the bad ones. So,
and Tara, thank you for those who have watched this video. I've gotten my checklist completed. I've mentioned David Wortman and Hitler's testicles in the same interview. So my checklist is now complete.
We do what we can.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm so glad that, that I'm HR here. Like we're just Okay, if you have any complaints, you can email them directly to me. But thank you, Tara, for doing it. You've been fantastic and a great support in the IPAC piece, for sure. Like you're always a ton of support for us and a great
Yes.
person for us to speak with to understand what's going on inside of the communities. Because again, we're not touching them and we recognize that every day. So thank you for keeping us informed as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.